Okay, yesterday we had a machloikas between Rabbi and Shmuel about yesh chuppah l'p'sailas. What was the case? The Kohen Gadol who goes ahead and he marries an almana. He didn't give a kedushin, but he gave a chuppah. He gave a chuppah. Now the shaila is chuppah going to stop her from being able? She's bas kohen, will it stop her from being able to eat truma? Will it stop her if you hold that chuppah is equivalent to bia, that it's a tantamount with bia? Then it would go ahead and with asa. And if you hold that, what? Not, it wouldn't be. So Rav said, yesh chuppah l'p'sailas. There's a chuppah to passel someone from eating truma. So in that case, where you gave chuppah, that would be equal to a bia, and therefore what? You would passel. Shmuel says no. Shmuel says she still would be permitted to eat truma. The fact that she is what is chuppah is not equal to that. Okay, so now we're picking it up, and we want to say the machloikis between Rav and Shmuel is the same machloikis in our Mishnah between Reb Meir and Reb Elazar Reb Shimon. Now let's go back and remind us who Reb Elazar Reb Shimon were. The case of our Mishnah. Our Mishnah said Almanu Kohen Gadol Gush Chulitz Hedget that gives kedushin. So it's a mishameres lebia psula because as soon as they live together, Hashem does not want them living together. So in that case, Reb Meir says that you can't eat truma. And Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon says you could eat truma. So Rav apparently would hold like Reb Meir, and Shmuel would hold like Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon. That's the Havamina of the Gemara. So let's see if that works out. So Amar Rami Bar Chama, yesh chuppah l'p'sailas banu l'machloikis Reb Meir Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon. Whether there is a bia l'p'sailas with a chuppah l'p'sailas, where you do a chuppah without a kedushin, and that's going to go ahead and stop you. We're going to be on Nun Ches Amid Aleph in a minute. We're going to be on Nun Ches Amid Aleph in a minute. Right now we're on Nun Zayin Amid Beis. So that's Banul Machlokes Reb Meir Reb Elazar Reb Shimon. Amid Aleph, the Reb Meir the Amar Kedushin Pasle, like Reb Meir who says that if you Mekadosh Nisha, so therefore you Mishameres Lebia Psula is Pasel, Chuppah Nami Pasla, Chuppah would also Pasel, Chuppah would also it won't be worse than Kedushin, it would Pasel. And however, Reb Elazar Reb Shimon Nami Kedushin like Pasli. Just like Mishtameres Lebi Basula doesn't passel, and the Bas Kohen can continue to eat Truma, or the Bas Yisrael after 12 months, like Rashi. But the Chuppah Nami like Pasle, Chuppah also won't passel. So we want to say that what? Ha v'ha Talia. One is dependent upon the other. Says the Gemara Mai. What are you locked into saying that? Dilma ad kan loy kamer Reb Meir Hasam ela b'kedushin the Kanila. Kedushin, which you're married already, you made a kinyan, you gave a kesef kedushin or shtar. Over there, you're closer to what? To being a full-fledged wife, and therefore what? You can't eat truma. You won't be able to eat truma. It'll passel you. The shaila Rav Huna, but chuppah is kaina or not. We pass the chuppah is not kaina. So therefore, chuppah is less than what? Than kedushin. And perhaps Rav Meir would say what? It doesn't passel. You're not locked into saying that chuppah and kedushin are synonymous. Why kedushin? She's more of a wife, and therefore it's passel. And Shemishameres to be a psula, Mashenkin chuppah, not. Or loy, I can dissuade you that this machlokes is one dependent on the other in the other direction. Not only from Meir, from Elazar Reb Shimon. From Elazar Reb Shimon, they're both mekel. They say that what that Mishameres to be psula does eat. Maybe that's only by kedushin. Ad kan like Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon hasam ela b'kedushin deloy krivi lebia. Kedushin, which is not carved to bia. There, he says, what? You could eat. Our chuppah, the krevel of bia, chuppah, which is one step away from what? From a bia, efsha hachanami the pasla. So therefore, you're not locked into saying the machloikis between Rab and Shmuel is the same machloikis between Reb Meir and Elazar and Reb Shimon. So we're holding good. Okay? Right now, we're holding very, very well. Can I help you? Yeah, so go quick again. I think it's taking Gemara. There's a bunch of Gemaras here. Okay, the bunch of Gemaras sukkah. Okay, fine. Ella, ika lemeimar. If you want to go ahead and say ika lemeimar, it plukta dahani tanoi. If you want to say the machlokes between Rav and Shmuel is the machlokes tanoim, I'll suggest another brisa. It's not Reb Meir, it's not Reb Shimon. That doesn't work out. However, we have another machlokes tanoim that it could work out. Guys, good? So that's the setup. Again, Rav and Shmuel. Rav says yesh chuppah l'psoilus. Chuppah is going to go ahead and ask her about kohen from eating truma, and Shmuel says no, it's not. It's not. We can make a chilik between chuppah and kedushin and say it. Therefore, it's a difference. It's not hava talia. It's different. And therefore, now we have another machlokes. Perhaps the machlokes Rav and Shmuel is telling the following machlokes. If there's to say, the following Tanoim, the Tanya, Nisu zu vizu. Now, what's Nisuin, guys? What's Nisuin? That's kedushin and chuppah. Yes, say yes. Yes. The bobblehead. Yes, good. You know that by now. Nisuin is what? Is kedushin and chuppah. Good. So there's the Nisu zu vizu, ksheris. What's zu vizu mean? By kedushin, that's kosher. Upsulis, and by kedushin, that's pasul. Good. In other words, there is nisuin by both. Oi, nisu zu bizu. If you married, right? If you married either by a kosher marriage or a pasul marriage, oi shenichnasu lechuppah v'noi livelu, or you entered chuppah and you did not do bia, you entered chuppah and you weren't boil. Oichlis mishalai v'oichlis mitruma. You can eat what? Eat your own, meaning from his. You can eat from the husband, and you'll eat truma. Fred the Gemara, nichnasu. The second case is speaking nichnasu. Nechal de nisu is nisu mamish. So, guys, is there anyone who will hold that a woman who marries a kohen gadol, if she's an almana, or she's a geru meshen kohen hedyet, that you can eat truma? Why do we call that woman? Halala. So listen to what I just said. Guys, listen to what I just said. Listen to the words. Listen to the words. Two cases. What's the first case? Nisu, if you mamish married, who got married? A kosher woman or a pasul woman, yeah? They eat truma. That doesn't make any sense. How can you say you eat truma? You can't say it. It doesn't work. She's a halala. So therefore, obviously, this brisa is not the way it should be read. Let's go ahead. It's not make it two cases. Let's make it one case. The latter case is the explanation of the first case. The nichnasu is the explanation of the nisu. The nisu is not speaking about a full-fledged kedusha with a chuppah. It's speaking about something else. Here's what it's speaking about. Ela lav kigoin shenichnasu lechuppah v'lo nivelu. Pirish. You know what nisu means? It means if you got married, what does that mean? You gave kedushin, you had chuppah, but no bia. You gave kedushin, chuppah with no bia, which is a little different than the case we said yesterday. Yesterday we had no kedushin at all. Viketani oichlis mishaloi v'oichlis bitruma, and nonetheless it says that what you eat truma. That's Shmuel. What does Shmuel hold? That even there's no bia, there's just a chuppah. It's not going to passel. So here we have a Tana. There's a brisa that would hold like Shmuel. That we won't say what we'll say ein chuppah l'psoilus, because that's the case over here. It doesn't mean there was two cases. There's one case. What's the explanation of nisu? It means that you got married without a bia. There was a chuppah without a bia. That's what it means. Chuppah without a bia. That's the case. That's hashayla of chuppah of yesh chuppah l'psoilus or ein chuppah l'psoilus. So when you tell me you could eat, obviously the chuppah didn't passel you. That's Shmuel's shita. Rabbi Shmuel ben Oshel Rabbi Yochanan ben Breika, I mean no. Kol shebiyasa machilasa, chupasa machilasa. V'chol she'ein biyasa machilasa, ein chupa machilasa. Now, can this marriage be consummated? Not beheta, not beheta. So memela the chupa is not going to feed. So if the chupa doesn't feed, what does he hold? Yesh chupa l'psoilus, which is the shita of Rav. So now I have him. Achloikis Tanoim, right? The Tanakama like Shmuel, and Rav like Yishmael, Rabbi Shmuel Benoi, Shalom Yochem and Breika. Guys, we're good? Okay, one more time. Rav and Shmuel, we have Machloikis. Whether the chuppah is going to passel. Rav says it passels from Truma. Shmuel says it doesn't. We have a brisa. The first brisa, part of the brisa says that if one gets married, nisu, and gives chuppah, and there's no consummation of the marriage, then it's kedushin, but there's no consummation of the marriage, you could eat truma. That's Shmuel. It says Rabbi Yochanan ben Oshel Rabbi Breika, since it's speaking about psulis as well, so therefore it's speaking about an almonul kohen gadol gush v'chus l'kohen hedget, and therefore the bia can't be consummated. If you can't have a bia, you can't have a chuppah. If you don't have a chuppah, therefore you can't eat truma. So therefore that's Rav. Good, very good. So we have machlokes. Rav holds like Rabbi Shmuel ben Oshel Rabbi Breika, and Rabbi Shmuel holds like Tanakama. Okay. Says now the Gemara. Now remember, guys, it was the kedushin over here. There's kedushin over here. Says the Gemara. How do you know that outside guys? Once you tell me there's a kedushin, why do you think it's the chuppah that stops me from eating? Maybe it's the kedusha that stops me from eating, and he holds like Rabbi. And there's our shaila is chuppah. Our shaila is chuppah, and you want to say Rav holds like Rabbi Shmuel ben Racha. Maybe no. Maybe Rabbi Shmuel ben Racha doesn't. Chuppah is not my lumoyed. It's the fact that it was kedushin, and once there's kedushin, he holds like Rabbi. Okay, so that's Gemara. That's the kasha. So Gemara, Mimai. What's your raya that the chuppah is the problem over here, and therefore it'll possibly you from eating truma? Dilma Rabbi Shmuel ben Rabbi Yochanan and Breika Reb Meir relate. Maybe it was like Reb Meir. Dilma kedushin lo yachla. Right? It's the kedushin that passes, but not what? But not the chuppah. Guys, good. So right now we're just saying you're not necessarily locked into that. Rav holds like Rishon ben Racham because he can be a whole different case. Says no. Hi, if that's the case. Hi kol she'en bi osa machilasa ein chuppah machilasa. Why did he mention chuppah? Kol she'en bi osa machilasa ein kaspa machilasa. If you can't have a bia, then you can't have a kedushin. The kedushin's not going to go ahead. So again, the fact that it said chuppah, it's the chuppah that's ma'akiv and not the kedushin. Because if it's the kedushin that was ma'akiv, don't say chuppah, say kaspa, which is kedushin. So therefore, it is a good raya that Rav holds like Rabbi Shmuel. So as you still have no raya. Dilma adi the Tanakama chuppah, maybe because the Tanakama mentioned chuppah, Oma iu nami chuppah. Rabbi Shmuel also mentioned chuppah, but in fact he holds its kedushin. So you don't have any. You're not locked into saying that Rav holds like Rabbi Shmuel. Okay, good. Rav Amram, Hamilsa Amalor of Sheshis. Rav Sheshis told us this. The anarinu the einin to our eyes must be and he illuminated our eyes from a Mishnah. It's very funny. This is like the third time he had this in the Masechta. We don't have it usually, and it's interesting. Rav Sheshis is blind, by the way. Sheshis was sagina. Right? Says the Gemara. Yesh chuppah b'sailis. What? No, but how many times you have Rav Sheshis and Shas? We don't use that lashon. Rav Sheshis was because he was blind. He memorized everything. He was one of the, he was like, his memory was unbelievable. So he was a source for the Toseftas and Brises. But we don't say it often, and he mentioned his name thousands of times. Okay, anyway, he says Yesh chol b'sailis. Yesh chol b'sailis, and he's going to bring a raya. Okay, guys, what do we know about Saita? When we speak about Saita, we're speaking about a suffix Saita, first of all. When we speak about a Saita, we're speaking about a suffix Saita. A Saita is when you know that she did it. She doesn't drink the Meimarim, she doesn't drink the waters, right? She goes ahead, she's asal ba'al, asal boil, and gets divorced. And good. Now, what happens if she's a suffix Saita? What does that mean? A man went ahead, he warned her not to be behind closed doors with a certain individual, and it was to the fact that they were. So then she says she did. If she admits it, then she's guilty as charged. If she doesn't admit it, she drinks the water. Good. So, and in the process of before she drinks the water, the kohen gives her a klala, and she answers to that klala, amen, amen. So the shayla is, what's the double lashon amen? What's the comment to teach me? And we're going to go ahead and figure out from this inyan, we're going to somehow go ahead and prove from this Mishnah, like Rav, that yesh chuppah l'psailis. It's much classic Gemara, classic. Okay, guys, listen. Here's where we're going. We're bringing in Saita, and from Saita we're going to bring a raya that chuppah would passel one from eating truma. That's what we're going to bring a raya. Why? How would it passel? Because chuppah would be like a bia, and bia would make you a wife. That's the way it works. In other words, the mechanisms are going to be over here. That the chuppah over here is going to make her a wife. If chuppah makes her a wife, it's a huadin le'inyan truma. It'll be a wife, but unfortunately, it'll be a wife of Issa, psilas. Therefore, won't eat because she'll be a halala. Now, says the Gemara, the Tanatuna. So he says that we learned it in a Mishnah. Amen. What is the Amen? Shleishatisi arusa. I didn't turn away from you. I was not unfaithful. Arusa as an arusa. Unisua, or when I was in the Sua, Shemeres Yavam, when I was Shemeres Yavam in the state of what? Of Yibum, meaning before you did Yibum, after my husband died, Ukinusa, and after you what? And after you made me a wife, good. Now, that's redundant lashon, right? And Arusa is the same as Shemeres Yavam, and an Sua is the same as a Kanusa. Shemeres Yavam is like kind of engaged to the sister-in-law. And the Yavam is kind of like in a sewer, full-fledged wife, right? Good. Now, what's this case? Guys, here's the case. What's the case? That this girl's going to drink. Now, in order for her to drink, what did she need? Kina and stira. She needed to be warned, and she had to be what? Behind closed doors. So exactly when did this transpire? When did this warning? When did this happen? If he went ahead and gave a kina when she was in arusa, become a shackle, and Rashi says, the Bach says, this tartara, and then she was behind closed doors, become a shackle, arusa. So guys, a guy gives a woman kesef kedushin, warns her don't be with Harry. She's behind closed doors with Harry, and she never had nisuin. She never lived with her husband. Says the Gemara, that can't be the case. Arusa bas mishtayehi. Does Arusa drink the meimarim? Vatanan Arusa v'shemeres yavam, and Arusa and shemeres yavam loy shaisais loy nightless ksuba. They don't drink and they don't get the ksuba. So obviously that can't be speaking about that Arusa. Ella, what's the case of Arusa where she does drink? The kani lakashi Arusa. He warned her when she was at Erison. This tatara, and then she was behind closed doors. And what? And he gives her to drink when she's in a sewer. So let's get the sequence over here. He warned her about Harry when she was in Arusa. She was behind closed doors with Harry when she was in Arusa. He warned her and behind closed doors. He then proceeds to marry her and consummate the marriage. Good. Now she's going to drink. So that's the Arusa. No, there's something not good over there, right? What's not good over there? After he warns her, he's not allowed to be with her. Okay, good. So it says the Gemara. Now, me batkala maya, would the water go ahead in that case? Would it work? Would it be baidika? For Tanya, for nika ha'ish me avain, the man's got to be squeaky clean. Bisman sha'ish menuka me oven, when he is clean from avera, hamayim baikin es ishtay. Guys, in this scenario, he's guilty. He's not clean from oven. You know why? He lived with her after she was behind closed doors with the one we warned about. Until she drinks the water, she can't live with her husband. So that can't be the case that what? She's saying amen, that she's a isha saita and she's going to drink on this arusa. So we're grappling, we're struggling. What is the case of arusa? It can't be kinoi stiroi drink arusa. So guys, what must it be? Kinoi stiroi arusa and drinking the sua? No. Once he lived with her, you can't drink. Ella, the kanila kashi arusa. He gave her what? He warned her when she was in arusa, v'is tatara. And she had stira with that individual when she was in arusa. V'nichnaso l'chuppah. And he went and brought her into the chuppah. V'loi nivala. But he never lived with her. So he didn't do an aveira. He didn't live with her. So he is nika me'avan. Good. And what? And you had a chuppah. Ushmamina yesh chuppah l'b'sailes. Guys, in order to drink, you have to be considered tachas ishech. She turned away from her husband. What does chuppah do? It makes her husband, right? Tachas ishech, your husband. So memela, that's your raya. If chuppah has the capacity to make her a husband vis-a-vis drinking the saita, it has the capacity to go ahead and passel you that you're married to this guy and you're a chalola and therefore you can't eat truma. That's the tanatuna to Rav Sheshes. I'd like that, Mendy. Like a fastball on the outside corner? No, it wasn't a curveball. That was a fastball. Okay, we'll do it again. Nah, you're going to hit this fastball.
It might be another madriga in between.
Another madriga of fastball curveball. A slurve?
Slider.
What other madriga?
Between kedushin itself.
What's it called? What's that called?
Be itself.
Again, chuppah, the mile of chuppah is that it's considered beer. That's what it is. You know, you're bringing into the rishus.
Yeah, but maybe in the case of the
That she won't drink then. She has to fill the pasuk. The pasuk says achas ishech. She has to be called up. This has to be her man. Okay. So guys, one more time. Let's get the kasha one more time. But not a kasha. It's a raya. It's a raya. It says in the Mishnah she said amen and she drinks on arusa. We're struggling to find what's the hechet timsa of arusa that she would drink. So we came up with a brilliant thing. The kinoi took place when she was arusa. The stira took place when she was in arusa. The problem is you can't let her drink when she's in arusa because she wasn't tachas ishech. Good. If he's boil her, and now she's tachas sheikha, that's very good. But he is not menuka miyovan. He's not clean from sin because it's asa to him. Once he gives stira, it's asa. Good. This man is if a guy would go ahead and warn his wife, and she's behind closed door. But that guy, if you had aid into this, you'd have grace. It's the easy way out of a marriage. But I'm saying halachically. So what must the case be? What are we doing, guys? She's an arusa, both by the king of a stira. How do I get her to be a husband, a wife without a bia? Chuppah. Oh, so very good. If she's drinking on this, it must be considered a full-fledged wife. So if she's a full-fledged wife over there because of chuppah, it must be what by truma also she's a full-fledged wife. Very geshmak of raya. Tanatuna, it's a brilliant raya. Okay, says the Gemara, not so fast. Now that you understand it. Says the Gemara, Amarava, B'tizbara, the ha mistaratztahi. You're telling me that this Mishnah is correct? It doesn't need edification? You tell me it's perfect? When Rav Acha bar Chanina showed up from the south, he came and he brought the following Tosefta, Brisa in his hands. It says Mibalde Ishech. It has to be that what Mibalde Ishech, aside from her husband, meaning Misha Kodma Shchivas Baal Leboil, Shekodma Shchivas Boil Lebal. You were with a man aside from your husband, meaning you were with your husband before you were with this guy. What's that case? Our case is this. He didn't do a bia to husband. The only one is the suffix on the boil. So you're still not good. You're still not good. You still don't have a case of arusa. You still don't have a case of arusa, right? Why? Because you have the bia of the boil before the bia of the baal. Since the baal just was machnas the chuppah and he wasn't boil her, so who is boil her? The achshad of bila was the boil, was the balavera. So l'chayra, so you still didn't fulfill. You didn't go ahead and fill in the dots. You didn't check the boxes to go ahead and say what that she's going to drink. And we said arusa drinks, so you have no raya yet. You have no raya to what again? You have no raya to what to chuppah. Says the Gemara, Amar Rami Bar Chama Mishkachas Lo Kigoyin Shebo La Arusa Beisavia. Okay, I got it. What do we need, guys? What box do we have to check? We just needed him, the husband, being boiled before the boil, right? Did that happen? What's happened? He's boiled over Beis Chamir. Good. He's nus. As a rusa. No, he's right. It's not chuppah. He doesn't put it in chuppah. He's a bia of nus. In Yehuda, where they allowed you go ahead, the Libai Gaspa in Yehuda, we're going to see the Gemara in Ksubis because of the Romans. Or there was the governors made a din. They used to go earlier. Good. So now he was boiled beforehand, guys. So now, if he's boiled first, that takes care of what Nivalde Chishech, right? It takes care of the bia first. He gives a kina yefta and stira after when she's an arusa, and then he's machnas the chuppah. So we got everything filled. You checked off every box, right? You have a bia of him before her. He's squeaky clean because he didn't go ahead and boil it after the shot of the boil, because he gave a chuppah. She's still drinking, so it must be tachas ishech. So l'chayra, that's your raya. The raya is still intact, and your pshat is good. That's what's problem.
When he's boil, or that's not he's bringing chuppah.
No. When you be again, if a man, you need a chuppah. You bring into rishus, you need a chuppah. Bia doesn't do it. You a mekadesha, the bia does nothing. You a mekadesha with kesef, and then not you. And one does a bia, he couldn't hold it out. He did it. He was boiled, right? It happened. She's not married, not considered. You didn't do nisuin. It's a bia of snus. It's a bia of snus, right? We said there's a special by Yavam. There's a special that even snus, I feel b'mezid, it's going to work, right? So you see that conceptually, you got it now, right? Guys, beautiful. It's a beautiful Gemara, right? Everything it clicks in. You just gotta keep the line moving, right? What? Excuse me?
But that is not squeaky clean.
Why is he not? So, no, he's squeaky clean vis-a-vis the sight part. In other words, the issa would be nikami oven would be what? If he went ahead and he was boil after the boil. Then you can make drink, because then the Aveir was goofa in the Saita. Here he was boiled before he gave a keen of a stira, Mendy. Here it took place before. You good? Good? Okay, so now we're good. However, there was another lashon. If you look back, it says, Amen. Shoshatisi Arusa Vinisua Shemeres Yavam. Now, we always have to be consistent. So if this case is speaking of Arusa where it was Boila, it must be the case of Shemeres Yavim was Boila, yeah?
Yeah, that's it.
Why do you call it Shemeres Yavim that was Boil?
Wife. Mrs.
You call him Mrs., right? You call him Mrs. You call him Mrs., right? Guys, you here? You call him Mrs. Chaim, you with me? I'm losing it. Anyway. Says the Gemara. So, the Kavase Gabi Shemeres Yavam, Shebola Yavam Beis Chamia, that what? He must have been Boila when she was bought by Beis Chamia, by his father-in-law, right? Shemeres Yavam Karisalei, Ishtay Ma'ali. She's a full-fledged wife. What are you talking about? It's a full-fledged wife. The Ha'ama Rav, kind of Lakol. Rav says, when you boil your Yevamot, even if it's a Bia Garua, we said you kind of for everything. That was what? A Bia Garua. Guys, this is a Bia Garua, right? He was boil the Shem Mason. Yeah, that's Nus. We're beginning of the Perek, right? We saw Machloikas Rav said everything. Shmuel said, no, only Le'inyan Mat, Le'inyan. Shmuel said only le'inyan Yirish ben Chasav and the pata from Yibum. That's what it would do. That you inherit the property. Then Shmuel says so that's the teretz over here. Kishmuel, we call it Shemeres Yavim. Kishmuel Damar leikone el devar mamur parsha. Only the things that it says in the parsha to be Yirish, right, and pata from Yibum. So now, very good. So right now we have a raya that right now really you don't have a raya. Why? Because Shmuel says ain and says the Gemara. 1 second. Midu timer el Rav. Who do you want to bring a raya to? Who does that Shaisa want to bring a raya to? That yesh chupel b'soilus is Rav, not Shmuel. So according to Rav, it doesn't work out because Rav says you koina hakol. If you do a bias nus, you're a full-fledged wife. So hajol kashel duchte. Why are you calling her shemeres yavam? Like Rav, you koina and everything. She's a full-fledged wife. So why are you calling her what? A shemeres yavam? So Amar Rav koina lakol. So hachamayaskinon ki going the ovid b'maimer. He did Maimer, Ube Shamahi. So it's speaking over here that there was a chuppah, right? But Shemeres Yavam, what did he do? He went ahead and he gave her Maimer. The Shemeres Yavam, he went ahead and he gave her a Maimer. Now, what does the Maimer do? Maimer makes it like an Arusa. So Maimer makes an Arusa, right? And then he's boiled. He's boiled, makes an Arusa. He's boil her, and then l'chayra, she has. You need the chuppah, right? If you want to bring a raya, it must be speaking that there was a chuppah. It must be speaking there's a chuppah. So it must be that this two machloikas in over here. I had to learn pshat over here. I'm going to learn one of them. Mine is kind of kinyan gama. She becomes his full-fledged arusa, and what happens? No longer is there a zika of yibum. No longer is there a zika of yibum, and therefore if you gave a maima and she now is with the what does the bias nus do? Bias nus is like for the kedushin part, but it seems that she's still called a shemeres yavam because she didn't take care of since it was in other words, what's the problem? If bias nus is considered what? She's a full-fledged what? Wife. If you gave her maimer, what did you do? You took away the zika of the yavam. And now she is a kedushin. She's a kedushin, right? So then when you boil, it's not going to be kainaha like a yavam. So that's what we're calling a shemeres yavam. Again, two things are happening here. If you boil her and there's only a zikas yavam, I don't care how that happened. The kashrus, paslas, shagi b'mezid, b'oinus b'rotzen, finished. She's a wife. We have to answer up. We want to bring a raya to Rav that yesh Tupel b'soilus, and still call her shemeres yavam. How are we accomplishing that? By giving Maimar, it's parchim yimenu zika, and not the zika completely, because we need a chalitza, right? So in other words, there's still a zika part, but it's chal the fact that she's now called an arusa. Now, when he does a bias nus, it's a bias nus on arusa. But since the zika wasn't taken off, she's what? She's shemeres yavam. So and now there's a chuppah afterwards, and there wasn't a bia afterwards. So you see that what? That since by the saita she would drink, it must be she's considered what? She's considered a yevama, a suffix saita, and therefore she's considered a wife.
So the fact that it did minor makes it that
Mm.
does bia, that it's not a bia.
Of Kenyan, yeah, correct. That's exactly right. The fact that he did Maimer makes the bia of Znus not a bia to be kind of the Yevama. There, but still, since this is still the Zika of the Yevama, it's still called Vat Shemeres Yava. So that's the teretz right now. Hachmai skin kind of Aviba Maimer. Ubeshami Doma Maimer kind of Kenyan Goma. Hihachi Haina Arusa. Guys, that's Arusa, right? If you gave Maimer, it's not Arusa. Why call Shemeres Yava? She's still an Arusa. Guys, what's the Nesua? You brought her into Rishus. What's the Knusa by Yevama? You brought her into Rishus. Lavcha the Milsi. What do you have to say? Guys, Nesua di Dei v'Knusa de Chavre. Nesua is speaking about himself, and Knisa is when it's speaking about your brothers, that you would mach this. Hachanami Arusa di Dei v'Shemeres Yavam de Chavre. You're right. She is an Arusa, but she's an Arusa machmas your dead brother, right? And as opposed to yourself. Okay, so that's one way to learn pshat in how it's possible to have a chuppah. You have a good teretz. It would be a raya to who? To be a raya to Rav, and it would still not be. And Shemeres Yavim would be Arus and Shemeres Yavim would work. Arus is speaking where you were boil business. You then gave what? You gave kina stiroi barusa. You gave chuppah, and you didn't consummate the marriage. And what? And she drinks. Finished. Shemeres Yavam. What did you do? You gave Maimer. You gave Maimer. You were boil. You warned her. You chuppah, and nonetheless, what? She's going to drink. Okay, good. Papa Amar Hai Tanahu. The brisa of Amen of is this Tanya. Ein maknin lo la arusa lashkaisa kishia arusa. You can't warn an arusa to drink when she's an arusa. Aval maknin leisol hashkaisa kishia nesua. You're able to go ahead and warn her to drink when she is in a suah. So according to Rav Papa, there is no raya anymore. In other words, guys, once I take the chuppah off the table, what's the din? You have no raya. We want to bring a raya. Yesh chuppah b'soilus. Guys, once I take chuppah out, you finish. Rav Papa is saying, I have another way to learn an arusa that has nothing to do with chuppah, and therefore it has no bearing as a raya to Rav. What's the case? You go ahead, you gave Kina Vestira when she was an arusa, and then you went ahead and you were mashka when she was in a suah. What are you going to ask? That's the baal's not squeaky clean. He did a bia. He doesn't hold from that limud. Rav Papa doesn't hold from that limud. But you have no raya because it's not speaking b'chuppah. Right? Again, he doesn't seem to hold from that. Look at Rashi, guys. Rav Papa Amar. The main thing is right in the mechanics of the Gemara. You can't bring me a raya that the chuppah, of course, not speaking this chuppah. For Hachagegoin, the Kina Lakashi Arusa. He warned her when she was an Arusa. Finissa, and then he married her. Ubaha leha. For Hada is starta, and then she had stira. Umishakala al yidei oisei kinoi. V'hai tanahu, and this Tana does not hold what of that limud. That this Tana does not hold that limud of Nikameyavim. Okay, that's later on. If you go skip down a few lines, the Hai Tanahu, the Leslie Hach Drasha, right? The second lashon. Okay, next. Rav Nachman by Yitzchak Amar. Again, what do we want to do? We want to disprove this as a raya to chuppah. Once I can learn the case of an arusa, not speaking about chuppah, you have no raya. You only had a raya according to the first limud. According to a puppy, you have no raya because it's not speaking about chuppah. And now, according to Nachman Yitzchak, it's not speaking about chuppah. Here's what it's speaking about. You got engaged. And now you gave Kina steer when she was married to you. And now she's gonna make a shvua. At that time, when she makes that shvua, you megalga on her any other thing she might have done. So that's the arusa was speaking about. If, in fact, in other words, if she's drinking on a kina stira of nesuin, which is the classic suffix saita, you're megalgal in the shvua. This is one of the sources of the Gilgul shvua, guys. Gilgul shvua means you roll in another shvua. You can make a swear that, you know what, when we were engaged, when I gave kedushin, was there any hanky panky there also? You can make a swear on that as well. Good. That's okay. What? That's the amen on that. It said no. Just say one amen. We have two amens over here. I don't know what the amen is on that, and the second amen is on the rusa part. Okay. Now, but right now, according to this opinion, Rav Papa and Rav Nachman by Yitzchak, guys, what? No raya to Rav, because you know why? We're not speaking about chuppah. Beautiful. Got shmaka gemara. You just have to follow along a little bit. Shalach Rab Chanina Mishmeid Rab Yochanan. Now, ha'oisa maimer b'yevimtai. Someone ha'oisa maimer b'yevimtai. V'yesh lei ach. You go ahead. You do maimer b'yevama. V'yesh lei ach, and he has a brother. So Reuven dies. Shimon v'Levi. Shimon does maimer, and he has a brother Levi. Afilu hu kayin, even if they're all kahanim. V'hi kahenes, and she's a kahenes. Paslam and truma. It's going to passel from truma. Now let's go through this. What happens over here, guys? When you give maimer, when Shimon gives maimer to Reuven's widow, what happens to Levi? He's out of the picture. Is there a zika to Levi? Is there a zika to Levi? We don't paskin like Beis Shammai. We paskin like Beis Hillel. There's a full-fledged zika to Levi. So therefore, could Levi live with her? Yeah, but it's a bia psula because of the maimer of art of. So this would passel. It's fascinating. This would passel. You know what? This brings in all. This brings in a yesh bia achamaima. This is from Perik Rabbi Gamliel, guys. We said the chachamim paskin yesh bia achamaima. If you give maima, they said everyone held yesh bia achamaima. Ain bia achabia, ain maima achamaima get achaget. But there was a din of yibum after a maima. So therefore. We're saying that it would passel. Right now it says passel. One more time. Here, Baruch here. Shalach Rab Chanina Mishmeid Rab Yochanan ha'oisa maimer b'yevimtai. Don't worry, it's hallucination because they were going after Pesach. So ha'oisa maimer b'yevimtai v'yesh le'ach. So again, Shimon's maimer to Reuven's widow. He has a brother Levi. Afilu hu kayin v'hi kahenis paslam in truma because it's mishtamers to be a psula vis-a-vis Levi because of the maimer of Shimon. Now, Laman, who are we saying this according to? Elam Reb Meya, Eimedam Reb Meya, mishtamers to be a psula loyachla. That's midaraisa when it's kedushin daraisa. The rabbanan miyamar. Guys, what's maimer is only the rabbanan. You don't. We said midaraisa only two things that you count. Remember, big shmooth the review yibum and chalitza. Get and maimer the rabbanon. So 1 second, this maimer the rabbanon is going to stop you from eating truma? Come on, that can't be. Rabbi only said when it was a kedushin, when it was kesef kedushin, it was a mamish kedushin, a kedushin deraisa. By Yevamot, maimer is not. It's only kedushin rabbanon. It's nothing. It's nothing. The only reason they made the gzeira is that what is in a regular case that you may come to go ahead right and you may come to go ahead and be boiled without kesef kedushin. The Elul Rebbe Laza of Reb Shimon, who say that what? By Kiddushin, deraisa, you do eat truma. Hashlim ishtameres to be a psula deraisa. Achla, drabanami boy. So who, this din that Reb Chanina brought in the name of Reb Yochanan does not seem to make a lot of sense. There's no svara to say that you shouldn't eat truma, guys. There's no svara. Even according to Reb Meir, who says you don't eat, that's only because kesef kedushin deraisa. Here it's a maimer. Ella, you're right. We got to revisit. It's so funny when it's like the game of telephone. From the time you went from Babel to Eretz Yisrael, the opinions of Rabbi Yochanan, we just had a Gemara with 4 different opinions. What he said. So Ella Kiyasa Ravin Amar Asa b'mayim v'yivimtoi divrei akol achla. Even Reb Meir would hold you eat. Why? Because it's not a bia psula. It's not enough to make it a bia psula. Yesh la'ach chalal. However, let's say Levi is a chalal. Divrei akol eino cheles. You wouldn't eat. In other words, if there's a brother that's a chalal, then what? Then since there's a zika of him, there's a chalal, you would not go ahead and eat. To be a call, right? You would not eat. Okay. So therefore, what must it be? Ela shenasan laget. It must be speaking. It must be speaking that Ella. It must be speaking where what? Where you gave a get. Okay, so you gave a get. Okay. The Nechlu Ella Shenasanla, the Yavam Koyin gave the get. So now, Midaraisa is able to live with her. Midrabanan is even Shebana Shula Yivna. Guys, Midaraisa is able to live with her. Midrabanan he can't, because since you had a chance to do Yibam, you didn't. He's over Kivin Shivin Shleibana Shula Yivne. Okay? Rabbi Yochanan Amar Cheles B'Truma. Rabbi Yochanan says you would eat truma. Reish Lakish Shama Ein Cheles. Rabbi Yochanan says you would eat truma, and Reish Lakish says you would not. Okay, now Rabbi Yochanan Amar Cheles. Why? I feel Rabbi Meir the Amar Ein Cheles Hanimili Mishtameres Lebi Psula Midaraisa. Aval Midrabanon Achla Midrabanon. Guys, what's stopping you from eating over here? A din daraisa, right? A din darabanon, right? Din darabanon is not going to stop you from eating. You don't eat. I feel Rabbi Elazar Shimon, who says you do eat by kedushin, right? Hani mili di yeshla lahachil b'makam acher. You can go ahead and feed b'makam acher. In other words, you can a normal situation where there's goodness to him. Abul hacha by a get. Even the ein loy lahachil b'makam acher. Since you can't go ahead when you give a get, there's no way to go ahead and feed in a good situation. Then loy, they'd be maida that you can't eat. Now, 1 second. I'll tell you that there is a way to get to eat. Let's say she came from daddy's house. You give her a get. Obviously, speaking, there's no children, and she goes back to daddy. So the get matara to eat. What's wrong with that, guys? It's not the get that made her eat. It's not the get that created an achila. It's the fact that she comes from daddy's house. This just releases her from what? Says the Gemara, v'chitei mahachanami. Yesh le'achila b'chazeres. A get can go ahead and make you eat. Why? She goes back to daddy. Over there, chazeres paskamine ukreivel beinasha. Chazeres ends that marriage and brings it back to daddy. Aval ha by a yavan that gives a get, agida bay. You're still attached, and since by a yavam you're still attached, and there's no way which way out. Therefore, Reish Lakish would say ein cheles. Sfira.